My name is Elizabeth Kashir and I'm an organizer with the Minnesota Break the Bonds campaign. Minnesota has about $18.5 million invested in Israel bonds, even though it is well known that the profits from the sale of Israel bonds go to fund international law and human rights violations. To name a few, these include the apartheid wall being built, settlement expansion, and Israeli-only bypass roads. There are a number of individuals and organizations who signed on to the lawsuit as co-plaintiffs with MN BBC. They range from Minnesotans whose pension funds are invested in Israel bonds to the Popular Committee of Belain, a Palestinian village in the West Bank, to people who are part of Boycott from Within, an Israeli group that opposes its own government's policies.
My name is Ronnie. I'm an Israeli citizen living in Tel Aviv and member of Boycott from Within. Boycott from Within is an Israeli group of citizens and residents who are supportive of the Palestinian call for boycott, divestment and sanctions against Israel.
My name is Sylvia Schwartz. I'm a Jewish American woman and a co-plaintiff on the Minnesota Break the Bonds lawsuit against the state of Minnesota.
I'm an activist for many years against the occupation. I support the Palestinian struggle for freedom and equality.
I'm an Israeli member of the group Boycott from Within.
My name is David Benke, and I am an after-school child care worker with the Minneapolis Public Schools and a co-plaintiff on the lawsuit with Minnesota Break the Bonds. As a state employee, I have a pension fund that is invested in Israel through the state of Minnesota.
The Popular Resistance Committee of Belain in the West Bank is also signed on as a co-plaintiff. Belain is a village that has struggled immensely under the occupation. The bordering Israeli settlement and apartheid wall have cut off access to about 60% of the village from their land. In the past few years have shown quite an increase in terror tactics on behalf of the Israeli army through night raids, through arrests of residents, including children and youth, and violent repression. Each Friday, the villagers, alongside Israeli and international activists, approach the wall with chants and banners calling for a return of their land, a return of the political prisoners, and each week they are met with an overwhelming downpour of tear gas, rubber bullets, and even live ammunition. Belain is just one village of many across the West Bank that deals with this kind of oppression and land theft, which is paid for by things like our investments in Israel bonds.
I began to question Zionist myths in 1982 during the Sabra and Shatila massacres. 6 weeks later, I met my husband, who happened to be a Palestinian refugee from Jaffa, which is now Jaffa in Israel. Because I am a Jew, and because of Israel's racist laws, I can go to Israel anytime I want and become a citizen, and I can purchase or rent property there. My husband, who was born there and who was violently expelled and left involuntarily, can never go back.
I do not think this is a radical call. Simply by investing in the state of Israel, Minnesota inadvertently supports the criminal policies of the state, which are detrimental to both the Palestinians and the Israelis living here. Israel is carrying on the longest-running military occupation in modern times. It also implements a policy of apartheid, segregating between Jews and non-Jews. This is detrimental in many respects.
Investing in Israel in these times empowers the Israeli economy, and this is translated to empowering the occupation, to the abuse of the Palestinians, and to the denial of their human rights. I spend quite a time in the occupied territories, and I see with my own eyes the injustices incurred on the Palestinians, and this, I feel, must stop as soon as possible.
I support the Palestinian civil society call for boycott, divestment, and sanctions as a moral and non-violent way to force Israel to comply with international law.
It's really important that we don't put ourselves on the wrong side of history.
I think this is an opportunity to do the right thing and stand by human values and respect the call of Palestinians who have been oppressed for way too long. So please stand by the Palestinians and stand by the Israelis who respect justice, equality, and freedom.
Minnesota, it's time to end material support for oppression.